In parent groups across the internet, I keep seeing a common thread. Homeschooling has always kind of interested me, but with everything going on right now, I think we're actually going to go for it. But how do I even start homeschooling? What do I do first? Help! I'm Amy Sloan, a second-generation homeschooling mom of 5 who writes at humilityanddoxology.com. And I want to give you a few simple steps to get you started homeschooling, whether you think it's for the long haul or just for this year. There are really almost as many reasons to begin homeschooling as there are homeschool families. But current events are sending many families looking for a new, better solution for their children's education towards the decision to educate them at home. But is it hard to get started homeschooling? If you're wanting to start homeschooling, follow these 5 simple steps and mindset shifts. Check on your local homeschool laws, change your mindset through deschooling, craft a big picture plan, compile a support team, and cherish the moments with your children. Okay, let's start by talking about checking on your homeschool laws. There is no one right way to homeschool. Every family will find the method and approach to education that best fits their own unique family needs and personality. Remember, when you ask, how do I start homeschooling? That the only thing you must do when homeschooling is to follow the laws of your state, if you live in the United States or your country. That's it. When it comes to everything else, no, really, I mean everything, you have the freedom and flexibility to do what is best for your children and your family. Homeschooling is legal in all 50 states of the United States of America. So this includes homeschooling children with special needs and homeschooling high school students. Most of the time, it's actually easier to follow the laws of your state than you may think. We have plenty of options and flexibility as homeschoolers. Most states and many countries will also have at least one regional homeschool association. Often these can be phenomenal resources to get you connected with local opportunities and support groups. And they can also be homeschool advocates in your local legislative body. As a second-generation homeschooler, I've practically been a lifelong member of NCHE, which is one of the regional homeschool organizations here in my home state of North Carolina. So you can find your homeschool laws at hslda.org. And I want to give an important warning here. Make sure you do your own research on your local laws. Many well-meaning people, especially in online discussion groups or, even dare I say blogs or YouTube videos, can unintentionally pass along inaccurate information when you ask, how do I start homeschooling? You don't have to follow gossip, but you do need to follow the laws of your particular state or country. So always double check what internet friends and strangers' websites tell you. Make sure you're checking the actual laws yourself. All right, step number 2, change your mindset through deschooling. For those choosing to withdraw their students from public schools, the biggest challenge of homeschooling may not be what you think. Changing your mindset from a standardized, traditional method of education to a personalized approach can be a huge shift. I've heard parents lament that they tried to recreate school in their homes, and this rarely turns out well, either for relationships or academics. Remember, you are choosing to homeschool for a reason. Home is the important part. Relationship is the important part. Your beautiful, unique children are most important. You do not have to recreate the classroom at your kitchen table. So deschooling is the colloquial term used in homeschool circles to describe a process by which the student and the parent adjust from a traditional school mindset to a homeschool mindset. For some families, the transition is simple. Others, especially those whose children have faced more difficult challenges at school, find that they may need to give themselves and their children plenty of time to recover and rediscover a love of learning. It doesn't happen overnight. Now, full disclosure, I've actually never attended public school. I'm a second-generation homeschooler, so I don't really have a lot to tell you about deschooling, but I can share some wisdom from a few of my friends. My friend Mary Prather is a public school educator turned homeschooler, and she shared in a recent episode of my Homeschool Conversations interview series that it often takes 1 month at home to adjust for every year that a child has spent in a conventional learning environment. So it's okay and to be expected if it seems to be taking your 4th grader a few months to adjust to your homeschool routine. Mary further commented, quote, "Once I learned we could do what worked for us, then things got a lot easier." Isn't that wonderful encouragement? Well, my other friend, Kara Anderson, never planned to homeschool. In fact, she pretty much thought homeschoolers were a little weird. Now, she has a passion for letting homeschool moms know that they are more than enough for their children. She has some incredibly encouraging words for any parent who suddenly finds themselves homeschooling, and I'm going to share her video in the show notes. My friend Colleen Kessler, a gifted specialist, educational consultant, and unexpected homeschool mom, explains, quote, "Deschooling isn't a vacation or a free-for-all. It's not a time to lounge in your pajamas and play video games all day. Well, maybe just a little. Deschooling isn't a break from learning. It's a break from what you've always done as you ease into what you're about to do." I think that's such a great explanation of the concept of deschooling. And Colleen shares lots more great tips for discovering what makes your kids tick at raising lifelong learners. Now, you don't have to jump right into all the subjects you want to study all at once. Always remember that your relationship with your child and their own mental, spiritual, emotional health is what is most important. All right, number 3, you want to craft a big picture homeschool plan. You've asked, how do I start homeschooling? And you've started Googling. Suddenly, it seems you have to figure out your complete homeschool philosophy and identify yourself immediately. Waldorf, Montessori, eclectic, unschool, classical, Charlotte Mason, and the list could go on. Stop. Take a breath. I promise you do not have to figure all this out right now. Let's start with a big picture homeschool plan. You can ask 4 simple questions before you start buying curriculum, and I'm going to put a link to those questions in the show notes. Then you can set big picture goals when planning your homeschool year and day. You don't have to write down what you're going to do every hour of every day. In fact, in my experience, that inevitably leads to tears. It's always better to do a few things well, consistently, and with peace than it is to try to do some sort of ideal plan that never actually gets done. If you start small and gain confidence, you can always add more things later. But no one successfully starts, going to the gym and then they bench press 200 pounds on their first try. You're going to set achievable goals, gain confidence, and encourage consistency. I have a post where I set out a step-by-step approach, a method to planning my homeschool each year, and it's a simple way you can use it with any grade or any combination of grades. And again, that'll be a link in the show notes that you'll find. Looking for a bit more specific help or a mentor who can lead the way in homeschool planning? My friend Pam Barnhill has a wonderful Plan Your Year course and community, and she even has some free planner pages. And again, you guessed it, you can find that link in the show notes. All right, our next step is you're going to want to compile your support team. If you have or can find a local network of homeschool friends, that is going to be such a benefit to you. Knowing that I have friends who have been there, done that, and survived is such an encouragement to me. But if you don't have a local homeschool group, you can still find a wonderful community online. Some of my dearest friends don't live nearby, but we keep up via regular Voxer, text, and social media. Is my extrovert coming through? Aside from relationship, you can also find valuable teaching assistants locally and on the internet. Every teacher needs a substitute every now and then, right? Even homeschool moms. Sometimes you may decide to outsource an entire course or two. Our family has hired writing teachers and math teachers over the years, for example. Other times, you may be looking just for some supplemental support for things like art, music, science, or nature study. Don't try to do all the wonderful things you'll start to see on the internet, okay? You're going to go nuts if you try to do all of them. It can be helpful, though. Just choose 1 or 2 special classes or activities to give you a break and expand your children's exposure to wonderful textbook-free learning. And finally, as you're starting to homeschool, remember to cherish the moments. These precious children are entrusted to our care for such a short time. When we homeschool, we have the incredible opportunity to spend the majority of our best hours together, not just the fringe remnants of our day. Our children have the opportunity to develop multi-age sibling relationships through shared memories and experiences. My oldest and youngest children, for example, are 10 years apart. Because we homeschool, they have spent astronomically more time together than they would have otherwise. Seeing their sweet friendship grow is one of my greatest joys as a homeschool mom. Now, this togetherness is not always easy, of course. We all get grumpy sometimes. Honestly, sometimes mom is the one whose attitude is the worst. So how do I start homeschooling? Sometimes the best way is to just jump in and start. You've embarked on a wonderful adventure, and it's worth it. So let's cherish this precious gift of time. Welcome to homeschooling. You are going to rock it.